Let me just give you a little bit about me and Aporia. My name is Marcelo Litovsky. I lead sales engineering at Aporia. I've been around for a while. Um, I started talking about MLOps with customers when somebody came up with that thing called MLOps. So we're talking about 5, 6 years ago. So I've been there since the beginning. I was with another company that did end-to-end machine learning operations. Before that, I did database management, programming, systems engineering. So I know my way around the enterprise. Now, in my work with customers talking about MLOps, the work was also always about bringing a model to production. So what I do on my laptop, what I do in SageMaker, how do I bring the model to production? How do I scale it so I can serve a number of predictions? So it was all about infrastructure, about process of bringing the model to production. And observability in general was put on the back burner. Yes, if you have a model in production, you are monitoring drift, but that's not observability, that's monitoring drift. There's more to monitoring a model than just drift detection, accuracy, precision, NDCG. Those are just metrics. So I'm gonna today my conversation is about monitoring LLMs. And now, this is a 20-minute talk. So if you expect to come out of here with a recipe to monitor LLMs, sorry, I'm gonna disappoint you. There's not a lot of people that are truly monitoring LLMs in production, but we are building from our experience, monitoring other models to bring the same experience into LLMs. So why are we talking about LLMs? It's hot. Everybody's talking about Gen AI. Everybody's talking about they need to have some model in production, LLM model in production by the end of the year, by the end of 2024. CTOs, CEOs are giving the directive that you have to do it. Now, LLMs are great. You can do anything. With a good prompt engineer, you can ask questions. With a good fine tuning, you can do a lot of things. But you have to do the fine tuning, you have to do the prompt engineering, and it's not easy. It's not like a binary model that will tell you true or false. It's not like a recommendation engine that you're going to make a recommendation and then you're going to get your ground truth and see if it was right. That's not the way it works with LLMs. So it's difficult. It takes a little bit more work. So this is what I'm going to cover. Certain metrics that you can monitor to be able to determine how your LLMs are impacting your business. And related to that, talk about metrics that are relevant to a business user. And this is not just unique to LLMs. In general, if you put a model into production, it's serving a business purpose. It's serving a business, or it could be a non-for-profit, but it has a purpose. And you have to demonstrate your value to the stakeholders, the people that leverage the model, so you can justify your salary. Basically, we had years ago, somebody came up with DevOps, then somebody came up with MLOps, and now we have teams of ML engineers. Now that's a different team. It's not DevOps, now you have MLOps. And now we want to have LLMOps. I cannot even pronounce that. So that's another team that you have to work with. So how do you justify that the work that you're doing is valuable to your business? So we'll talk about a little bit about business metrics. So there's 4 things that I'm going to address. One is user feedback. And we're talking about user feedback and user sentiment because most of these models now have been used for chatbots. There's some recommendation engines that are starting to be built with LLMs, but a lot of it is about chatbots. So you want to get user feedback, you want to understand the sentiment. Segments and business metrics, this is where we get a little bit more into understanding how the model is impacting the business. So understanding what is the impact of the model, how is it working for the business, and is it working as they thought it would. Oops. All right, so track user feedback. You do this today with other models. When you engage, any of us gets into a website asking for help, we know we're talking to a robot. A lot of times we get asked for feedback. And really, this is feedback that a data scientist takes to see if you are satisfied with that interaction. So this is basically on a scale. You want to get that feedback. Now, not everybody gives it, but that will help you understand in general how that LLM, that model is the user interaction, how is it perceived? Now, you want to constantly see that the feedback is positive. You want to stay up there, but you want to look for those downslopes where you get, all right, things are not going well. So something must be going on with the model that all of a sudden you have a downslope. But an upslope is also a problem. Okay, and this is a real use case where satisfaction with the chatbot was great. Everybody's loan was being approved. So, okay, high satisfaction, very high risk for the business because people were getting loans approved. So look for those slopes. Low satisfaction, high satisfaction, when it starts to change drastically, then you have to address something with the model. Now, I know I'm not talking about specific about LLMs, but like I said, LLMs are complicated to monitor, so you have to look at a lot of things. It's not just one of these that is going to give you a full monitor of an LLM model. So why do you want to verify satisfaction? So customers are unbiased. They didn't train the model. They didn't do your engineering. They just know what their interaction looked like. So you want to get their feedback. Customers like to share their thoughts. A lot of customers know that this is something exciting and they're going to give you a feedback. And the customers know that it's a chatbot. So right now, I think a lot of this, when you put a model now in production, go with the way people want to share their feedback, take it. It will help you understand how your model is working. The next thing is sentiment. Now, sentiment is different than satisfaction. I'll get into that. So in this case, I'm just using OpenAI. There's a script that you can give it some parameters. It will tell you the level of satisfaction from the interaction with the user based on the way you define this function. Nothing interesting here. This could be a customer that gave you a very positive review or a mildly positive review, but there is one sentence in that conversation. This is so unclear. So now, you can be satisfied with the interaction, but that doesn't mean that your sentiment towards the resolution of your problem or your recommendation is 100% there. So now complement the feedback that you get from the user with your analysis on the sentiment of that interaction. So just add another component to let you understand that they're satisfied. So both sentiment and feedback are things that you do behind the scenes that will just give you a general idea of, how that interaction with a customer is happening. What we don't get out of this is business value. So now the model is there to serve a purpose. So this probably is information that a data scientist will use, but then we get into things like, I had one more slide about sentiment. So, obviously you do A/B testing and you want to make sure that if you make any changes, that you get a difference between what the previous model sentiment came out compared to the new release. I forgot this slide was there. All right, so sentiment can change over time, and this is the one reason to monitor sentiment. One bad interaction, it happens to all of us. You get annoyed, but then you don't say anything, you move on, you do what you have to do. The next time you interact with the same company, you have the same experience. Now your sentiment on that conversation is going to be different. So just make sure you look at that sentiment over time. And sentiment also gives you a different perspective of that interaction with your application and your customer. All right, so now I am going to get into part of the business part of this. So segments. So this is not information that is inside of your model. It's information that surrounds your application, that serves the LLM. So you might get positive feedback from the application in one country, but it might be negative on the other. So we're talking about different segments of, and this is metadata that goes along with that interaction that you're having. So you're dealing with a person if it's a chatbot. So where is this person? So that's a segment of your data, their location. I think this skipped something. Yeah. All right, so in your metadata, you might have the age, you might have the occupation, the user type. So these are the different segments that will allow you to evaluate the performance of your model based on different aspects of the metadata that user, that's associated with that user or what, I'm talking about a chatbot, so I'm going to refer to the person, to that user. But look at the segments, and I'm going to give you an example a little bit later on this. So yeah, it could be by country. So why do you want to monitor segments? Let's say you build a chatbot that makes a recommendation. It's part of making recommendations. You're a retailer. And I'll tell you a story. A few years ago, quite a few years ago, I went to Montana for the first time. My brother-in-law moved there. So we sit at the table, his girlfriend comes in and she says, "Oh, you want some pop?" I look at her like she had horns. I'm like, "What? Pop? Pop." So what? So in the Midwest, pop is soda. And I guess there is a debate about calling soda pop in the Midwest. I don't know, but so anybody here from the Midwest? Pop? All right. So if you have a recommendation engine and you're making a recommendation that pop is on sale and your engine runs in New York, your success in New York is going to be very low. Nobody's going to understand what pop is. So be able to create a segment so you can easily identify that your model in New York, your recommendation, is not working as well as in the Midwest. Now, these are metrics. These are signals that tell you that you have to look for some additional information. It's not the whole information. And that's a thing with LLMs. There's no one answer of your model is doing well. You have to create a system that helps you monitor all this. So when you see a segment of the population of the data that is not performing as well as the others, then you can go back and get samples of the interactions and discover these issues. So this just helps you build that case to understand why the model is performing the way it's performing. So you don't serve a single type of user. Misunderstandings lead to frustration, and this analysis will help you further fine-tune and help you with prompt engineering as well. So narrow down the issues. Now you know that your model is not performing well in one segment. Find things that you might have missed, and also monitor bias. We talk about bias and fairness. We all do it with machine learning models, but when it comes to LLMs, how do you know that you're introducing bias into the decision? So segmenting by gender, by age, by location will help you understand and do some bias and fairness as well from your model. All right, business metrics. Like I said, you put this model in production because somebody wants to get value out of it. This thing is driving me crazy. So let's say we have a chatbot that a bank uses to help people with services. So person starts interacting with a chatbot, they want to work on, they want to transfer funds to another bank. So that's an interaction with the customer. I know I have 5 minutes, and I knew I was going to talk too much. So all is well. Your model, from the data scientist point of view, is working perfectly. But only you're successful with transfer of funds, you're only successful about 20% of the time. Now, as a data scientist, as an MLE, your model is working. There's no reason. It's just people just don't want to do transfers. That might be your conclusion. But when you present this KPI to a business user, their view is a little bit different. So in this case, this bank introduced Zelle. I don't know if anybody uses Zelle. It's a system to transfer funds between banks that doesn't require you to know their routing number. You just send them an email. So in this case, what was happening is that the chatbot was giving instructions to do a wire transfer. Wire transfers are expensive, require that you know a lot of information. So that's why this was unsuccessful. Now, your model was working, everything was fine, but the business user will know that, okay, the reason for that low accuracy is because you're making the wrong recommendation. So that's why it's important to build those business metrics that go along with the decisions that your model is making. I think I'm getting to the end of this. So communicate value to business stakeholders. You have a model running in production, you're spending a lot of money on it. The model is not yours, you pay a lot for it, unless you use Llama. So they have to know what you're doing with the model. The business users want to participate. I heard it here. A lot of people don't know how to explain to business users, and the business users are wondering what's the benefit of having a model. So this is a way for you to explain that value. And with that, I'll wrap it up. We have 3 minutes for questions before they kick me out.